What is up, everybody? It's your boy Bobby from Bobby's Breakdowns, and today we are going to be reviewing Knock at the Cabin, starring Dave Bautista, aka Batista! Sorry, I'm a wrestling fan. You knew I had to do that. Anyway, like I said, we will be reviewing Knock at the Cabin today, and it was an interesting movie. I gotta say, I think I expected a little more out of this movie, but it wasn't the worst movie I've seen, and it wasn't the best. So I'll leave it at that. But hey, let's dive right in. First, we start off with the introduction, and it's a weird introduction because they have old timey writing, old timey words coming across, pictures drawn through. It reminded me of Halloween H2O, kind of. And that was kind of cool, but still a little weird for 2023, and obviously that was the play on the whole thing. We meet a young girl. Her name is Wen. She's just collecting bugs, doing things kids do. Then all of a sudden we see a big figure in the background. Batista, aka Leonard, comes up and he meets Wen. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. But Wen kind of gets right to the point with things. She goes, "Why are you here?" And Batista is very creepy. And I mean very creepy.
Can I talk to you for a little bit?
It's incredible. I always thought he was a comedic actor, and I'll be praising him throughout this. So he tells Wen his heart is broken on what he has to do. And then you see Batista's friends, or whatever you would like to call them, pull up. "Hello, Ronald Weasley." Weird casting there, but we'll get into him. So Gwen runs into her dad's to tell them they're in danger. They don't believe her at first, but obviously when Batista knocks on the door and tells them the plan, they obviously start to believe them. I'm going to say Batista and Leonard, just bear with me there. And they actually look through the window and they go, "God, he's huge." And yeah, Batista is absolutely jacked in this movie. So of course they get in. A fight breaks out. Eric, one of the dads, and Andrew is the other one. Eric gets very concussed in the fight. Andrew fights Ronald Weasley, aka Redmond, a little, but they ended up losing and they end up getting tied up. The group's names are Leonard, like I said, Sabrina is the nurse, Adrian, and Redmond. Redmond is Ronald Weasley. Redmond's a little crazy, and by a little I mean a lot. They say they're here to prevent the apocalypse, and the goal is one of Andrew, Eric, or Wen has to sacrifice themselves from the apocalypse happening. Obviously, they say no, and as time goes on, the events get worse and worse, and yeah. But strong acting from Batista, like I said, and Ronald Weasley was just insane here.
That was bloody brilliant.
So with them saying no to the sacrifice, Redmond is the sacrifice, and he gets murdered brutally. They drag his body outside. But then we go back in time and we see Eric and Andrew adopting Wen. We find out that's how Wen broke her lip because she had a scar in the beginning of the movie. And then we find out that Redmond dying caused a bunch of earthquakes. Calm before the storm, people. Pun intended. Eric is slowly starting to believe that they might be onto something. Wen escapes for a little in a very chasey scene, and then of course Leonard catches her, brings her back. We find out later on that Andrew was attacked in a bar by Redmond, and we'll get into that a little later. But it's interesting how they put all these things together. Some of the scenes are shot very differently, like close up. Adrian is the next one to go. They don't do a sacrifice again, and just like Redmond, Adrian dies brutally. So there are two more left, Sabrina and Leonard. Now, meanwhile, Eric and Andrew escape. Andrew runs out to the car to get his gun. This is where I'm going to critique the movie just a little. Andrew makes a stupid move and goes to the car. He stays in there. He's just trying to get his gun. I would have drove off personally, but I guess he didn't want to leave Eric and Gwen. Fine. But then he fires a warning shot at Sabrina. If he just shoots Sabrina right there, now it's just Eric and Andrew versus Leonard. I know Leonard's a big man, but it's still 2-on-1. And then eventually Andrew shoots Sabrina. Sabrina's done. And then if she was even still alive, she's the next sacrifice, and Batista just takes her out. So we go back in time and we see Eric and Andrew at a bar. Then we see somebody assault Andrew, and it turns out to be Redmond. Now, we're back in normal times. Sabrina's death causes plane failures, children's flu that's taking them out. It's not good. So they lock Batista in the bathroom. Then all of a sudden you hear the glass break. They go in. There's this tiny window, and in my head I'm like, please don't tell me they tried to convince us that Batista fit through that window. Turns out he was hiding in the shower. I'm glad. I would have been like, come on, man. Batista's arm could barely fit through that thing. So Eric figures out that they're the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So we have Redmond, who is Malice. Shocker. We have Adrian, who's the nurturer. She's the mother. Sabrina, who is healing. She's the nurse. And Batista, aka Leonard, who is guidance, that coaches basketball. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't seen that many second grade teachers that are that ginormous. But anyway, so we figure out Batista is the last sacrifice, of course. So he slits his throat right in front of Andrew and Eric. And as he does that, the skies get dark, planes are crashing, stuff's going crazy. So Eric and Andrew have a chat, and Eric wants to be the sacrifice. He wants Wen to live in a life with Andrew where everything's good and they could be all well. So, sacrifice is made. Andrew shoots Eric right there. So Andrew goes to the treehouse to retrieve Wen, and we aren't sure yet if it was too late at this point, if the world was saved. Things are on fire, planes are still falling, and meanwhile they get out of the cabin, and the cabin's ablaze. So they go to a diner to see what's going on, a local diner, and then we find out the planes made it, so things are slowly coming back to normal. Then they get in the truck, they play a happy song, they keep going off and on with it, a little funny moment, and they drive off down the street. Credits roll. I felt like this movie could have been better. It wasn't the worst movie I saw, but I thought they underdelivered at some points. Batista was great. He usually plays comedic roles, so the fact that he got this and he killed it, in my opinion, but just something was missing. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It passes, but not by much. Like I said, I felt like it could have been better, and I just hope they don't try and make a sequel. They might. You never know. That is my review for Knock at the Cabin. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you give me a subscribe. Appreciate all you guys. And until next time, I'm Bobby from Bobby's Breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.